Hey guys, what's going on? I hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to the third episode of comparing popular free clients against each other to determine which free client offers the most value. Last episode was worst first Liquid Bounce, with worst coming out on top. Today we have the Envy client versus the Coffee client. Before we take a look at these clients, I have to shout out the legends that support this channel. If you want to get your name in a video and help me make more content like this, please consider looking at the benefits down below. Thanks guys. The Envy client has a complicated history that I am not going to discuss in full here, so to sum it up, Envy is a fork of Matax, which itself was a fork of Meteor. Envy is self-described as a massive skid. The client is quite literally a Frankenstein creation of multiple clients and features, all put together in a single client. Envy is massive. To put it in perspective, other similar clients are often only a few megabytes in size, while the Envy jar file is nearly 20 megabytes in size. I admit this isn't the most useful metric, but I think it gets my point across. Envy is significantly larger and potentially more feature-rich than other similar clients. I spoke to one of the active devs and he told me that the client is a creative playground. Everyone involved adds their own modules and tinkers with the client, which explains why it is so big. It also explains why the client is a bit buggy at times, but we'll get to that later. Another thing he mentioned is that they are looking for more experienced devs who can help with porting the client over to newer versions. So if that sounds like something you can do, maybe check it out. Like all of the clients in this series, Envy is free to download and the client can be found on GitHub. The download process is not exactly easy or straightforward. All of the available releases would crash on boot. I realized the issue was with Baritone and took a further look at the Envy releases tab, and here I found a Baritone release for 1.19.3. Adding this to my mods folder would let me launch the client. The download process is not exactly clear or user-friendly, so I can't give it more than a 2 out of 10. When it comes to the client's GUI, it is very clearly a reskin of Meteor, and this makes sense. Again, Envy is a fork of Matax, which was a fork of Meteor. I actually like this reskin more than the default Meteor client skin, though there is also an option to switch back to the default Meteor client GUI, which is a nice option to have. Envy offers all of the best features from Meteor: a super customizable HUD editor and GUI, client configs, macros, friends, and even the Baritone settings. It is quite literally Meteor with more features and a reskin. 10 out of 10. I have never seen so many modules offered in a single client, and I never thought I would have to say this, but I actually think there was a little too much going on. I mean, there are 7 different kill aura modules, some of them work better than others. While there is a lot of choice when it comes to combat modules, some of the added modules just don't work very well. For the PvP modules, I honestly don't think the client has changed much from Meteor or Matax. The combat modules work, but feel like the client offers more quantity over quality. 7 out of 10. Thankfully, things get a bit better when it comes to the render and utility modules. Envy offers a few modules made for bypassing the Vulkan anti-cheat like Boatfly or Nofall. Envy also includes modules from popular Meteor client add-ons and adds all of the missing modules back to the client like Instamine or New Chunks. The added modules again seem to suffer from quantity over quality, but they are much better than the offered PvP modules. 8 out of 10. Sadly, Meteor client add-ons do not work with Envy. Not that you would want to or need to add more modules to the client. It is also worth noting that throughout my testing, I experienced a few game crashes for various reasons. The client is also less up to date than other clients in this list, with the latest working release being for Minecraft 1.19.3. All of this considered, I can't score the client more than 3 out of 10 for the Misc category. Before we move on to the Coffee client, I want to quickly ask everyone watching to like or dislike the video. This lets me know if you're enjoying my content, and it helps me decide what kind of content to make in the future. Oh, and if you haven't already, please join my Discord server, it is linked down below. Moving on, the Coffee client is another open source and free client made for modern Minecraft versions, with the latest release being for Minecraft 1.20.1. Sadly, it looks like the Coffee client has been discontinued. I spoke to the owner and he told me that he has no further plans on working on the client. Downloading the Coffee client is again slightly confusing. There is no releases tab. To get the latest build, you need to open the bin folder and download the latest jar file. When you place this jar file in the mods folder and launch with Fabric, the game loads, but opening the GUI crashes the game. Turns out the client requires the Saturn mod to function, which in turn requires the Fabric API, though neither of these are listed as required in the GitHub repository. The download process is not exactly difficult, it just is slightly more complicated than it needs to be. 3 out of 10. I really like the aesthetic offered by the Coffee client. The custom home screen looks good, the GUI looks good too, and everything has little animations that make the client feel super responsive. The GUI looks good by default but does not include any settings, which kinda sucks. With that said, I do personally like how the client looks, and the lack of settings did not feel like an issue to me. The click and drag HUD editor is a bit annoying though. You first need to enable or disable modules in the GUI, and then you can click and drag the enabled elements in the HUD editor. There are also elements that cannot be moved or disabled, which I do not like. 6 out of 10. Coffee is not exactly the greatest combat client ever created. The client offers a decent kill aura, but then lacks modules like Auto Crystal or Surround, while offering minigame modules like Fireball Deflector. Combat is clearly not the client's focus or strong point. 3 out of 10. The Coffee client offers some interesting and cool utility modules like Cave Mapper, which can be used to map caves for ores bypassing all anti-X-ray plugins, or Auto Lava Cast, which automatically griefs for you. The client render modules also look good, name tags and ESP for entities look great, though none of the modules are very customizable. 6 out of 10. The Coffee client has an add-on system. Sadly, there are no popular add-ons for the client, but I think it is cool that they have this system in place, and this means anyone with some coding knowledge can easily create and add custom features to the client, which is awesome. The client also offers a profile system for different client configs and an easy-to-use waypoint system. There's also an inbuilt proxy manager and an account manager, which is great. All of these features work well. I just wish that there were some popular and public client add-ons, though this isn't really a fault of the client itself. 10 out of 10. Now for the fun part, which client will be moving forward? Well, starting with the Envy client, which scored a respectable 30 out of 50, while the Coffee client scored a little bit less with 28 out of 50. With that said, Envy will be moving on and the Coffee client has been eliminated. In the next episode we have Lumina vs Thunderhack, and then from there the comparisons should get a little bit more interesting. Thanks for watching. Please let me know in the comments down below if you enjoyed this video. Oh, and I have a secret message for anyone that is still watching, but first up, if you are seeing this, it means that you watched to the end of the video, so thank you. I really appreciate you. Now for the secret message, next week Friday is a Bose client review, and I will be doing a small Bose client giveaway, so make sure to check that out. With that said, I have been your boy KiLAB. Peace in the Middle East.